Yes, you're reading your screen correctly. Planet Coaster 2 is officially on its way, and I have so much to tell you. But before we jump into everything that I know, let's take a look at the official announcement trailer.
Then I get it.
When I walk outside with my head in the clouds, everywhere I go, I keep singing out. Good day. I'm gonna sing all my blues away. Everything's alright when I got you by my side. It's gonna be a good day. Sing it! Everything's alright. I got you by my side. It's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a good day.
Hey everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Savannah and welcome to the very first video that I get to record about Planet Coaster 2. If you're new here because you only care about Planet Coaster and Planet Coaster 2 and you're finding me for the very first time, thank you first of all for being here. You can hit that subscribe button and the like and all those YouTube things really do help me out. I'm planning on covering Planet Coaster 2 heavily with projects and tutorials, so I'm excited to bring you along. I'm also so excited to have been invited to an early sneak peek announcement presentation put on by Frontier just about a week ago. In that presentation, they showed us this trailer and they also talked through a lot of details and information on stuff that is coming to Planet Coaster 2. So in this video, I definitely want to go over all of the new additions and improvements that they went over, all the screenshots that I have, and all the information that I know. So let's jump into it. So let's start off by talking about water rides. In the trailer, we got to see a single person slide, but in addition to single person slides, we'll also be able to build 6-person raft flumes. All slides and flumes are customizable, and it sounds like the building mechanics will be really similar to building coasters. Each slide will be built piece by piece, so you can decide exactly how you want your slide to be built. You can decide how steep, what direction, all those things, just like with coasters. In addition, it sounds like the slide sections will be independently recolorable, so you can create striped slides if you want. They'll also be including a transparent section. You might have been able to see that in the trailer. One of those slides, like the drop slides, has a transparent section for the slides, so that will also be an option for you. For the 6-person raft flume, the devs mentioned additional slide pieces such as a fly trap piece, a plug hole, a sphere, and a boomerang. So we'll really be able to create a whole lot of different rides based on what you want your park to look like. Now, I don't know of any additional types of slides other than the single-person slides or the 6-person raft flumes. Those are just the only two that they talked about. So your slides need somewhere to end, and that's where pools come in. You'll be able to easily build common shapes like squares and circles, but it also sounds like with whatever building tool that they're going to use to allow us to place down pools, we'll also be able to create geometric shapes and very custom sizes and shapes of our pool. As you can see in the picture here, we have more of a traditional kind of squared off pool in the background, but then we also have this like lazy river type pool in the foreground. Now, I'm not quite sure what the building tool looks like. They really didn't show that off. However, I'm hoping that it's kind of just like a brush tool that we'll be able to just paint whatever shape that we want. And that seems like it might be the easiest thing in my mind. But again, I don't actually have my hands on the game and they didn't show this part of the game off. So I can only speculate on how we'll actually be able to place down pools. but look at how good they look with the little drains and the decking around it, or the trim around it, matching up with the pool decking area. Now that pool deck is actual path, and we're going to talk about path here in just a minute. But with pools comes some new mechanics as well. Obviously, with all your filthy guests swimming around in there, you'll need to place some water filtration facilities to keep things nice and clean. Those water filtration systems are taken care of by the mechanics staff that are already in the game. We know and love them. There was no mention of having to heat your pools, but I think it would be a cool mechanic to add to the game. So I know there is a heater, what do you call it? Like a facility to place down with Planet Zoo. So I know, it exists. The technology is there, but whether it'll be implemented in Planet Coaster 2, I'm not quite sure. There will also be a brand new staff type, though. You can see them standing there in the screenshot you're looking at now. Lifeguards. So lifeguards will hang out by their assigned pool and are in charge of keeping your guests safe as they swim. In addition to that, guest services will also now sell pool passes, which your guests are required to purchase before getting access to your pool areas / water rides. And then there's a new Splash Emporium, a new shop that you can place down. And this facility will sell floaties, rafts, and tubes for your guests, all for them to use in the pool while they're floating around. Lastly, for new facilities, you'll also need to place down a changing facility for your guests to change in and out of their suits or back into their street clothes as they move in between the water park areas and the rest of your amusement park. So some new things for revenue there. If you're playing your park and running it as an actual park, they'll have to pay for the passes, they pay for floaties, so some new ways for you to make money. So now let's talk about that pathing. Alongside pools and water parks, the devs also made mention of a new pathing tool that will make creating open plazas and pathing around your pools much easier. They didn't show off exactly what this new pathing tool looks like, but as you can see in this overview screenshot, it looks like we'll be able to create big open plazas for food courts or just wider paths, obviously decking around all of your pools for guests to walk around on. So it looks like with whatever this new pathing tool is, there's going to be no more kind of filling in little holes between your pathing. In Planet Coaster, when you were using the path and you were trying to create like different shaped plazas and you were left with like these little triangles in between all the paths, and then you had to use like a floor piece or a wall piece, sink that down into the ground and match the color just to make it seamless and look like it was one open area. It sounds like that's no more. It sounds like we have some new tool that's going to allow us to make irregular shaped large open plazas. So I can't wait to see what that looks like. Again, kind of like with the pools, I'm kind of hoping for like a brush, just like a path brush that we can put down. But I'm not quite sure exactly what it looks like. Another little quick thing, which we don't have to talk too much about, but I did want to mention because the devs mentioned it, would be guests. I don't have too much information, like I said, but the devs did mention that they're improving guests to have more diversity and representation, as well as giving them better feedback for their emotions so that we'll be able to easily tell how they felt about a ride, if they're nauseous, etc. So it just sounds like some more like animations for them to show us at a quick glance how they're actually feeling. And then as you can tell by some of these screenshots, I've noticed, we can see some heavier set people, we can see maybe some different ethnicities. So I applaud Frontier for just trying to diversify the guests within the park, make it feel a little bit more realistic, but also inclusive. Now that I'm looking at the guests in the screenshots, of course I can't off the top of my head remember what the Planet Zoo guests look like and how much different they are from Planet Zoo, because remembering that although Planet Coaster was the original, Planet Zoo obviously pulled a lot from Planet Coaster and made a lot of updates and improvements. So I'm kind of considering Planet Zoo as like the predecessor to Planet Coaster 2, because there's a lot of similarities there. But I can't remember what their guests look like off the top of my head. But, you know, more diversity, more inclusion is always appreciated. And to help entertain your guests in your amusement park, we have a brand new entertainer. You can see her here on the left next to King Coaster. We now have Queen Splash. Love it. Such a cute addition. These guys look perfect together. I love her little crown. It's like a water dropping, into water and making the splash and everything. She's got a floaty. She looks great. I don't have too much to say about her other than there she is. Look at her. She's a partner for King Coaster. We have Queen Splash. Now let's talk about my favorite part of Planet Games, and that would obviously be the building and the pieces. So obviously we're going to have the same modular building pieces and the mechanics and the ability to create intricate custom built parks and buildings and things like that. All the stuff we've come to know and love from Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo. But new in Planet Coaster 2 is actually scaling. Yes, I'm so very excited. Frontier obviously heard our cries, and in Planet Coaster 2, we'll be able to take the pieces and scale them up and down to create custom sizes. Now, the limitations of this scaling tool and if it's applied to every single modular piece in the game is yet to be known. They actually did show us a couple items being scaled in our sneak peek, but did not mention if it's going to be every single piece. So that I am still a little bit unclear on. But scaling, how amazing is that? The ability to make small, intricate things. If you played Planet Coaster, you know the kind of the sizing of things was way large, and getting things to scale down to make tiny things for our guests was a bit difficult. We had to get really creative. So this scaling tool is more than welcome, and I think it will really come in handy. In addition to the fact that I think a lot of the assets are pulled from Planet Zoo, and Planet Zoo has a much smaller scale. We have a lot of like 2-meter pieces instead of just the standard 4-meter pieces. We have things that are even smaller than that. So I think the ability to build, quote unquote, realistic or in scale is going to be a lot easier with Planet Coaster 2. Now, just from this screenshot, you'll actually be able to see one of the brand new building themes that they talked about, and that is the resort theme. Very tropical. They described it as kind of West Coast surf themed. In the preview, they showed a little bit more like bright colors and things like that. This is a bit more like thatched roofing and tropical, like I said. But like the plants in the very foreground, right on the right hand side where those little flowers are, that looks like something almost directly brought out from Zoo. Some of the palm trees look like they're directly from Zoo. Some of the like the wall foliage and things like that look directly from Zoo, and I'm not mad about that. Planet Zoo has some of the best like plants and landscapings. Looks so good, so I'm not mad about it. I am excited that hopefully we'll have an increased amount of landscaping to work with, different types of plants and bushes and things like that. And they all look so good. And then the second building theme that they announced would be this one. It's the aquatic theme. Now, obviously these rocks look very close to the aquatic rocks that were taken out of Planet Zoo. They did confirm that those rocks are flexi-colored, so you can make them whatever color you'd like. And I'm really hoping that extends to a lot of the different pieces as well. But this aquatic theme obviously goes really well with your water parks and things like that. So I think it's great that they've added this theme. I can see, some fonts in the background that look like they're directly from Zoo, where I think it says river over there on the left on that little building. And it looks great. I love all the piping pieces and things like that. I'm excited to make other things out of all of these aquatic pieces. I'm not quite sure how much I'll lean into the aquatic theme. But all of these pieces, aside from like the very specialized coral and things like that, look like they could be used in other themes as well. Like all these pipings and things like that, you could easily make like a steampunk area. I think it could look really cool. So yeah, new themes, new pieces. So excited for it. I can't wait to see what else is included and actually get the list of individual pieces to see what is in the game. Now let's talk about rides. Obviously, the bread and butter of Planet Coaster and Planet Coaster 2 is it's an amusement park builder, so we've got to have some rides. Rides have also gotten customization upgrades for Planet Coaster 2. So first, in addition to changing the colors of most things, especially on the flat rides, but also the coasters, we'll also be able to change certain patterns on rides. So there, for example, they showed the teacup ride, and it had some patterning on the actual teacups, but also around the actual platform that the teacups were on. In addition to changing all the colors of those patterns, we were also able to change the patterns themselves, from like seashells to waves to dots to lines, just various different patterns. So the customization of the rides has actually increased as well. And it's very exciting, so you'll be able to really kind of fit that into the theme of your area. But in my opinion, that isn't the most exciting part. Also new is the ability to further customize your rides by adding scenery pieces directly to your rides and having those pieces animate with the ride. So, for example, talking about that teacup ride again, the devs placed some scenery decoration pieces on like the center platform of the ride. And then when the ride took off and started spinning, those scenery pieces also spun around with the ride. So even more customization that we can do. And then looking here at this ride, you can see that little raft that's below the guest, the little circular inner tube. That is actually a scenery piece, and my guess is that the devs sunk that into the actual ride itself, and that will animate with the ride. So with the new ability to add pieces to rides, there's also a couple new tools. So first is the symmetry tool. So talking directly about like coaster cars. They showed being able to add scenery items to one side of the cart, then using the symmetry tool to create a mirroring effect where it would appear on the other side. So you could decorate both the left and the right side of your coasters at the same time and have them be perfectly symmetrical, which is just, it's absolutely amazing. I know you can, select all your scenery pieces and advanced move it, rotate it, 180 degrees, bring it over to the other side, but this just takes all that extra step out of it. And then in addition to that, they showed the ability to decorate your front car and then also have all those decorations duplicated to every single car in that coaster. So you don't have to go through and individually decorate each one if you want them all to be the same. Now, you don't have to use that. You can also make every car in your coaster differently themed or differently decorated, but those new tools is going to make it so much easier to do the exact same decorations on every single car. Now, my question with this is, of course, just how far can we push these limits? They showed actually putting pieces down where they're touching the rides, touching the coasters, but essentially how it worked was they had a piece, and as soon as you kind of hovered near the coaster, it would kind of highlight with like a white outline that let you know that you were now placing a piece that was going to be attached to your ride. How far away do those things have to be before they're no longer connected to your coaster? Like, for example, could I create a little train out of modular pieces and then connect it to a coaster, but sink that coaster into the ground and have that train animate above the ground? Can we do stuff like that with pieces? It's things that I'm going to test as soon as I get the game in my hands. Again, I'm not quite sure how it works, but that would be fantastic. One of the things I love about the Planet games is the ability to really just push the limits and use the things in the games as the devs never intended them to be used, but work out really, really well. So excited for that. And last but not least, the devs also mentioned a special effects sequencing tool. Now, I can't for the life of me remember if that was in the original Planet Coaster, but essentially you'll be able to place special effects and then have them be timed and go off at certain times during a ride. So great. I can't remember if it was in Planet Coaster or if that's brand new, but it is something that they confirmed that is in Planet Coaster 2. The devs also did confirm a brand new ride, this flat ride right here, which I'm pretty sure they called a Frenzy Frill. It looks great. You sit in this little cart, it spins you around. Some of the patterns on the arms, like these flowers, that was some of the stuff that they mentioned being able to change the colors and the patterns of. So if you don't want it necessarily, like it's themed very like tropical, very Hawaii. If you don't want it themed that way, maybe you just want solid arms that attach to your ride here, you can change that as well. So really excited. I mean, I know I'm gonna say I'm really excited over and over again, but I truly am, and I'm very grateful, very, very grateful for Frontier allowing me to be included in the event, seeing a sneak peek of everything, and then allowing me access to all of these screenshots you just saw, the trailer you just saw. It's all great news. So I will absolutely, obviously, be covering Planet Coaster 2. We'll be starting our own amusement park, doing a couple projects. I'm sure I'll start 1,000 projects that I can't finish, just like I did in Planet Zoo, but I'm excited to take you along with me. If you're new here because you only are interested in Planet Coaster and Planet Coaster 2 content, again, welcome. I appreciate having you here, and do all the YouTube things, like and subscribe and leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see in Planet Coaster 2, what you're excited for of the stuff that we talked about. And until next time, I'll talk at you in the next video. Bye!